Okay, we're going to graph reciprocal functions, chapter 8, section 3. First thing we want to do is we want to remember what quadratic functions look like in vertex form. So if we remember that the vertex was at h and k, and then a had to do with opening up or opening down. So we had our parent function y equals x squared was here, and then when we moved it, let's say we took it and we did y equals x minus 3 squared minus 5, then I'm going to go 3 to the right and 5 down. And my vertex is now going to be here. Since my value of a was the same, and that had to do with opening up and opening down, then we're looking at a graph that looks something like this. So the h and the k moved it, the a flipped it, and that all goes back to transformations. H is left to right. Remember, it's an opposite idea. This negative is something that you need to remember. So this left and right should be here, this up and down should be here. So now we're going to apply these exact same things to the graph of 1 over x. And what you have to remember about the graph of 1 over x is it has two asymptotes. It has an asymptote of x equals 0 because notice, x cannot be 0 due to the fact that it's undefined there. So I'm going to have an asymptote that comes down like this, and this graph will never cross over it. And I also have an asymptote at y equals 0 because there's no way to make this thing equal 0. It's impossible. Okay, so we're going to focus on these two asymptotes, and this 1 over x is going to be called the parent function. And then these guys are just going to be, if you did an XY chart and said, what are some values I put in? I can't put in a 0, so I put in a 1. 1 over 1 is 1. So that's this point right here. 2 over 1 over a half is a half. So we get a third and a fourth and a fifth. And then how come we go up here? Start putting in negatives. So if you put in a fraction, excuse me, if you put in 1/4, you flip that over and you get 4. 1 over 1/4 times 4 times 4, and you get 4. So 1/4, 4, that's somewhere in here, and that's why it goes up. So that's how that whole thing works. So, and then we'll have a couple that change its shape a little bit, but what we're really going to be worried about here today is how can we sketch the graph with the asymptotes. So here we go. All of these values are going to mean the same thing. H is going to be left or right, and it's going to be a minus again, and k is going to be up and down, same thing. And look, the vertical asymptote will be the value of h. The horizontal asymptote will be the value of k. And then a, if a is positive, if a is greater than 0, I'm going to be like this, upper right, lower left. And if a is less than 0, I'm going to be upper left, lower right. Okay? It's just like being reflected. If a is a bigger number, it's going to be stretched vertically, which means it'll just go up a little faster and be rounded off a little bit quicker. We'll take a look at that. So when we look at this guy right here, identify the asymptotes, the domain, and the range. So my asymptotes for this guy, it's not moved up or down. There is no value of k. So I have a horizontal asymptote. So I'm gonna make note of my totes. My totes are gonna be that's y equals 0. Remember, that'll be the value of k. There is nothing being added on. And then I'm gonna have x equals 2, and that's going to be right from down here. So remember, y equals a over x minus h plus k. This 2 moved it h units to the right, 2 units to the right. So here's the 2, and then we have, we moved it, the value of k, there is no k being added on, and then the 3 just makes us go up a little bit quicker and be rounded off. Domain. The domain's going to go from negative infinity to 2, and then jump over the 2 and go to infinity. Basically, the domain is always going to be everything except this asymptote, because we're jumping over the asymptote. The range is going to go from negative infinity to 0, 0, to infinity. And again, it's going to be everything except that asymptote, because I come down, jump over it, and then go up. Here's another one. Let's first find the asymptotes. I have an asymptote well, what's the value of h? Be x equals negative 2, and here we are, 2 to the left. There's my asymptote, 2 to the left, and then I'm 1 up. Y equals positive 1, I'm 1 up. There's my asymptotes. That will also be the domain and the range. Domain, left to right, negative infinity, negative 2, union, negative 2, infinity. Range, how far down? Negative infinity, up to 1, union, 1 to infinity. Everything except the asymptotes. We're at upper right, lower left, because the value of a was positive. Here we go again. We didn't move. We got no value of k, so we're there. This is going to be negative 3, so we're there. Asymptotes, x equals negative 3. The value of h is negative 3. Y equals 0 for the k. That's it. This is all there is to it. Next one, identify the domain and the range. Well, in order to identify the domain and the range, you might as well identify the asymptotes. So my totes are going to be at x equals 4 and y equals negative 3. I'm 3 down for that value, and I'm 4 right for that value. Remember, the h is an opposite idea. So my domain is going to be negative infinity to 4, union 4 to infinity. Remember, that means we jump over it. Range, negative infinity to negative 3, union, negative 3 to infinity. We're jumping over the negative 3. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, we're gonna graph. First thing I want to point out is the fact that it's a negative, which means the value of a is negative. So I'm going to be up here and down here. We do want to make note of that. I'm going to do my asymptotes. I'm going to get a tote at x equals negative 1. That comes right out of there. And I'm going to get a tote at y equals 3. So I'm going to go to where x is negative 1 and y equals 3. And I'm going to think about the fact that I'm going to be up here and over here. I can always get a couple of points. If I want to put a negative 2 in there, I could figure out where am I going to be exactly. Negative 1 over negative 2 plus 1 plus 3. Negative 1 over negative 1 plus 3. That's 1 plus 3. That's 4. So negative 2, 1, 2. So this is where I'm going to make my turn. And really, with these asymptotes, that's enough, people. That's all you need to do. And then it is symmetry, so I will end up here. And I could put in 0. Look at 0. 0 plus 1. Negative 1 over 0 plus 1. Plus 3, that's negative 1 plus 3, that's 2. Look at 0, 2. And if you follow this and make a turn, that's good enough. I've successfully graphed it. Domain is going to be negative infinity up to negative 1, union negative 1 to infinity. Range is going to be, I got no room left here, negative infinity up to 3, union 3 to infinity. So we're just sketching. So all you got to do to sketch is you got to grab the asymptotes, graph them, and then get a point, plot it. Got another one here. I would identify this tote. Whoa, what happened there? Okay, right here. Again, I've got a negative and I've got a 4. That's just going to make it a little bit sharper corner, or a little bit, actually it's kind of a more gradual corner. So I'm going to grab the asymptotes. X equals 2. The value of h is 2. Y equals negative 1. So I'm going to go to 2. And I'm going to go to negative 1. I'm negative, so I'm going to be up there and down there, just like before. I could always grab a point. I could put a 0 in. Look at 0. 0, negative 4 over 0 minus 2 minus 1. That's 2 minus 1. That's 1. 0, 1. I know I'm going to be there. Again, if you kind of know the general shape, that's good enough. That's okay. Then I can do the other one. I can go to 1, 2, 3. I could put a 3 in there. Negative 4 over 3 minus 2 minus 1. That's negative 4 minus 1. That's negative 5. So I can go to 3. I'm just picking these points. Negative 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know I'm going to follow. I'm going to come up and I'm going to round out. And I'm going to follow those asymptotes. And that's all we really need to do. And that's basically it for these guys. Let's just do one more real quick. I'm just going to sketch it real fast. I'm going to say x equals 3 is a tote and y equals 3 is a tote. So I go 1, 2, 3 here. 1, 2, 3 here. And then I've got, I know I'm going to be over here and down here. So again, I could put in like 2. 2 over 2 minus 3 plus 3. 2 over negative 1 plus 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So I put in a 2, and it's 2, 1. So I'm going to be there. Follow this guy and go down. We're not being exact here. We're getting a rough sketch with the correct asymptotes. And then I can put in a 4. 2 over 4 minus 3 plus 3. That's going to be 2 plus 3 is 5. So 4, 5. There we go. And I can come down and go out. And that's how you can graph these guys with the asymptotes.